faith, family, freedom, hope, and opportunity. You're listening to Freedom Rings. I'm your host, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Thank you so much for joining us for Freedom Rings, and our guest today, Jen Kiggans. She is someone who truly is a happy warrior freedom fighter, and currently she adds to her titles with Republican nominee to serve the wonderful people of Virginia's 2nd Congressional District, and we know come November it will be Congressman Jen Kiggans, who is taking that seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. So, Jen, you are really no stranger to the fight for freedom, but some of our listeners might not know just how much you have already given to our country. You served in the U.S. Navy for 10 years, and we are grateful for that service. So, tell me a little bit about your time in the Navy.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here today, Senator Blackburn. And I just wanted to just very appreciative of all your help with this race for the 2nd District. But my time in the Navy was 10 of the best years of my life. I got to work with some of the greatest Americans, and I flew helicopters. I flew H-46s and H-3s, deployed a couple times to the Persian Gulf, and just, again, worked with a great group of people who really were at the tip of the spear and cared about the country and the mission that we were asked to do. My husband is an F-18 pilot. We met in Navy flight school and got married and have 4 children. And I have two sons that are one at the Naval Academy, one at VMI, Navy ROTC. So we have a big family of service. My dad was a Green Beret in Vietnam in the Army. So just that life of service has always been very important to me.
And how is it that you decided to serve? And do you have siblings that serve?
So I don't have siblings that served. I have a brother and a sister that are younger, but my father, after Vietnam, got out and was Army reservist for many years. So while I was young, I remember him coming home after his 1 weekend a month duty and 2 weeks a year. And he was just always, we flew the flag. We were a very patriotic family. We visited the national cemeteries on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And I had a grandfather who was in the U.S. Navy during World War II. So just really that life of service. My dad always made sure when we visited Washington, D.C., we visited the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. He had many friends who had not come home. So it was just really important. He really impressed upon me, my siblings, just how important it was to be able to serve our country. I think that's important, especially if we want to lead the country, that we understand that service component as well. So
I think you're right about that. And it is no surprise hearing that your entire life has been about service, because you have not only had that military service, but then you've been a nurse practitioner. You have been in the Virginia State Senate. And as you mentioned, you're a mama of 4. So why do you think it is so important to always be giving back?
So you're right. I like to think of my life has always been about service to my country as a Navy pilot, and then service to my family as a mom. 4. That was a very busy time. And then service to my community as a nurse practitioner. And I was able to focus in geriatrics. And I currently practice in geriatric primary care and some long-term care, hospice, and home health. So service to my community there. And then now service to the people I represent, as a state senator, and hopefully in November to be serving then as their congressional representative. But that's what my life has always been about. I enjoy making our community a great place, making our Commonwealth of Virginia a great place, and making our country a great place.
And how is it that your children motivate you? Because I'm a mom, I'm a grandmom, and it's kind of the prism through which I see things, especially when I look at those grandchildren. So how does that motivate you?
So being a mom to 4, and not only are issues that are important to families important to me, like education for our kids and community safety, and that we grow up, with safe neighborhoods and have just safe places for my kids to play. But now I have kids that are older. So my oldest son is going to be a senior next year at the Naval Academy, and my second oldest son is a freshman at VMI, just finished his freshman year, his rat year. So, my sons are now serving, and I have a daughter, 2 daughters after them, who hopefully will also consider a life of service. But I think of my sons, I think of their friends when I think of our foreign policy and some of our failures or how we are leading from behind these days, in our foreign policy and on the world stage and what the Biden administration has done. So I want a seat at that table. I want to be able to have a voice, hopefully on the Armed Services Committee, but to be able to just have a voice in, where my kids are sent. My husband and I had deployed to the Persian Gulf and provided some stability in that part of the world. It was taken away from us last year with the Afghanistan withdrawal. And, we had to watch that. And we killed 13 servicemen and women, which we need to remember that. So I worry about my kids. And I always say I'm a mom on a mission now. I'm a mad mom. Mm-hmm. And so I want a voice to, what's happening in my kids, what's happening in my country through my kids.
And as you come to Congress, then what are the issues that you look forward to taking up?
So advocating for our veterans, but not only our veterans, but for our active duty military as well, and for military families and military spouses. That's been an important advocacy area for me on the state level. And we've made some steps in the right direction. And then with healthcare, I think as a nurse practitioner and being an advocate for our greatest generation, for older adults who are often a voiceless group, who don't have many advocates, especially in government and in politics. So much room for reform for our long-term care, for nursing homes, but ensuring that those golden years for our older adults are really just that, their golden years, so that they're taken care of with their health care, but that they have options for aging in place, and how can we support their caregivers, and how can we help them to age independently. So those are people that are important to me on the state level and have been, and I can't wait to advocate for them in Congress as well.
And when we talk about Virginia's 2nd congressional district, how is it being impacted by inflation? What are you seeing there, and what are people in Virginia saying?
So we, with the congressional campaign, have knocked on thousands of doors and been to lots of civic league events and church events and community events. And every single person that we talk to really just cares about one thing, and that's the economy. And right now, families can't afford gas. They can't afford groceries. We're seeing shortages in our grocery store shelves and workforce shortages. So that is the one issue that Virginia families care about. I know in my own family, I used to, pay $20 for my kids to go fill up their Civic to get to school. And now it costs $60 or more, to fill up my kid's Civic for the week. So this is not my family alone. Every single family is impacted by the economy and by the cost of living increases. And we're having to make tough choices. Are we going to go on a vacation this year? We're going to be able to pay bills. Do we need to get another job to be able to pay those bills? So, are we going to be able to give kids the money to fill up their gas tanks to get to the activities they want to go to? So every single Virginian, I think every single American is caring about the economy.
I think you're right about that. In Tennessee, we hear about inflation. We also hear about the impact of the open southern border and what that is doing to crime and what it is doing with fentanyl that is flooding our communities. Are you hearing about those issues?
Very much so. Even though Virginia is not, right on the border. I mean, really every state is a border state these days.
That's right.
With the
every
open
town's
border.
A border town.
Yeah, and it's become really a humanitarian crisis if you look at what's happening at the border. And we're now have illegal immigrants that are packing themselves into trucks and dying from heat exposure. And so where's the outrage at that? Where's it? It is a crisis at the border. We can't continue to have this open border. We see it in Virginia with increased drug trafficking rates, human trafficking rates. I see it in my nurse practitioner job. We already have mental health challenges and substance abuse challenges, and these open border policies. And you're right, there's 4 times the amount of fentanyl to kill all Americans 4 times over, in our country. So we've got to finish the wall. We've got to just restrict our border and close that border so we can see decreases in those drug trafficking, human trafficking.
And as you're talking to Virginians, talk a little bit about what freedom means to you and why it is worth the fight.
So one of the things I was able to do in the military was travel the world and visit parts of the world where they didn't have the freedoms that we enjoy in America. I deployed twice to the Persian Gulf and spent some time ashore, and even in countries that that were well-off countries like Bahrain and the UAE, and but they didn't enjoy the same, especially women didn't enjoy the same freedoms that we enjoy here. America's a great place. We have so much that I feel like we take for granted sometimes. And when you serve in the military and you're able to see how people live all over the world, you really appreciate what we have here at home and our freedoms and our choices. So we return from deployments and you really just want to kiss the ground, once you get off the airplane, because it really creates just a sense of gratitude. So that's important to me. America's worth fighting for. We're sacrificing for. It's worth the service we put in, and I can't wait to serve on another level in Congress.
Well, I am delighted that you could join us for Freedom Rings, and I so have enjoyed getting to know a little bit more about you, and I know our audience has enjoyed getting to hear from you, because you're a strong, solid conservative, and you are what this country needs serving in the U.S. House. And I've been honored to endorse your campaign and support you, because we need unapologetic conservatives who are going to stand up to the Democrats and put in place some of the guardrails, the laws, and put freedom at the top of the to-do list for the American people. And I know we're going to take the House back this November, and you're going to be a big part of that. So I really encourage my friends in Virginia to support you. And they can find out more about you. Let's see, on Twitter, they can follow you at Jen Kiggans, on Facebook at Senator Jen Kiggans, and on your website at jenforcongress.com.
That's right. I appreciate just your support and your help, and I really look forward to flipping the U.S. House of Representatives and joining you up here in Congress.
Great work, and we are happy to support you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Freedom Rings. You can follow me on Twitter at Vote Marsha, Facebook at Marsha Blackburn for Senate, and on Instagram at Team Marsha. And you can always find us online at marshablackburn.com. The Freedom Rings podcast is edited and produced by Jared Cummings. Executive producers are Conservative Partnership Center and Marsha Blackburn. Together, we make Freedom Ring.